The regular season is almost over, and with the play-in just around the corner and the Raptors likely to be in it, let's talk about the perfect, and I mean perfect, play-in scenario for the Toronto Raptors this season. What's up everybody, it's JJ Buckets. Told you what we're doing today, so I'm also going to tell you the usual drill. Just make sure you're leaving a like on the video, and if you're new here and you like what you watch today, subscribe to the channel. Plus, if you plan on doing any responsible sports betting in the near future, just make sure to check out the sponsor of this video in the description below for a really nice sign-up bonus. At the time of this recording, the Raptors sit at 38-38, which would have them in 9th place, although they have the exact same record as the Atlanta Hawks, so one slip up and that 8th seed is suddenly theirs. And quite frankly, that's where I think the Raptors want to be. Now look, for the Raptors, the absolute dream scenario I think would be getting to that 7th seed for the play-in, because obviously you get the home playoff game then, as opposed to, going on the road to try and get the 7th seed. But realistically speaking, I think you will take the 8th seed, and quite frankly, I think it's a lot more obviously achievable for the Raptors to take that 8th seed, for the play-in tournament. And quite frankly, I think it's a good spot for the Raptors to be for a bunch of reasons. The first one here being, I really do believe if you're Toronto, you want that 7th seed, right? You want that 7th seed, because the team that you are going to face if you are the 7th seed, I think is going to be an easier playoff series for you than the Milwaukee Bucks will be, who are the 1 seed currently. Now look, I've talked about this before, I've talked about it in the last video. The 3 teams at the top of the Eastern Conference are all juggernauts, I would say, in their own way. Like the Bucks, the Sixers, and the Celtics are all really damn good teams, right? Like, they are fantastic teams. They are, quite frankly, probably the 3 favorites to win the title this year. I think the champion, there's a really good chance, comes out of the East. I wouldn't rule out Denver or Phoenix in the Western Conference, but I really do think the best teams in the NBA currently at least reside in the Eastern Conference. So they're going to get a tough draw no matter what. But let's be honest, I think if you have any dreams, I guess, of doing anything impactful in this playoffs, you want to end up on the side of the bracket that the Milwaukee Bucks are not on, who are the title favorite, I think, at this point. And if you get, whether it be Boston, who slumped a little bit in the second half and maybe haven't looked their best selves, or if you get Philadelphia, I think you feel a lot better about that matchup than you do going up against the Bucks. Now, yes, the Raptors have played the Bucks well this season. Like, there's been some close games. Quite frankly, the Raptors have played all 3 of these teams well and competitively. I think the Raptors a lot of times really do play up to their competition. I think this is one of those situations where they just play up to the level of these teams whenever they play them. So I think you'll get a competitive series no matter what. But genuinely, again, if you have any aspirations of maybe potentially stealing a series and winning a series or 2, I think you feel a lot better about ending up on the side of the bracket where you have Boston and Philadelphia, as opposed to ending up on the side of the bracket where you have Milwaukee. That would be the reason number 1 why, that 7th seed I think is really alluring for the Raptors. But also just sitting and landing into that 8th seed at the time of the regular season and going into the play-in tournament, there's a couple of reasons to like that, right? Number 1, obviously you get 2 cracks at making the playoffs. I think that one needs very little explanation. 2 is better than 1, and if you lose that matchup against whoever the 7th seed is at the time, you get one more chance to get that 8th seed, which again wouldn't be perfect, wouldn't be ideal, because again, I think you want the 7th seed here. But at the very least, you'll still get a crack to be the playoff team that you want to be, and a chance to compete, and a chance for these young guys to learn what they have to come playoff time. But the other reason why I think slotting into that 8th spot for the play-in tournament is perfect for the Raptors, because there's still a good chance that if the stars align, the Raptors could see the Brooklyn Nets in that matchup, right? Like, as it currently stands, the Nets do have the 6th seed, and it would be Miami that is in that 7th spot, so that would be their matchup should they get to 8. However, obviously, there's still a little chunk of this season left here, and things are fairly close. If the Nets can drop down and drop into that 7th spot, I really don't think there's a team you would rather see in that play-in tournament than the Brooklyn Nets. Like, with all due respect, to Mikal Bridges, who's obviously shown flashes of the player he can be with the extra usage in Brooklyn and some of the other solid pieces there. I think if you're the Raptors, with the talent that you have, looking at a team like Brooklyn, yo, that's gotta be chopped liver, right? Like, with all due respect again to the Nets, that is the team you would absolutely kill to play in that first round of the play-in tournament, because I'm not saying that's a guaranteed win by any means, especially with how inconsistent the Raptors have been at times throughout this season, but I do truly believe that is your best ticket to securing a playoff spot, and securing a playoff spot that you like the path in which you can go through the playoffs, right? Assuming they do anything, but I mean, conversation for another day. But the Nets really are the best matchup that you could possibly see here, and you're not going to get that matchup unless you pop into the 8th seed. And with the remaining schedule left for the Raptors, it's obviously a tough one. They have some really tough games left on the schedule. They have Philadelphia, they have Boston twice, they have Milwaukee. Obviously, in those scenarios with some of those teams, they could be resting starters at certain points. You don't know, because obviously, like Boston, the 2 games against them, and with Milwaukee, those are late regular season games, so you might actually get an easier out than you're expecting in those games. But nonetheless, the schedule looks rough to an extent, so very realistically, I think the Raptors are targeting the 8th seed a little bit more than they would be the 7th seed, which you genuinely have to go on a little bit of like a consistent tear in terms of the wins to really put yourself in position for. It's not outside of the realm of possibility by any means, but the Raptors would definitely need the majority of their games to be wins left on the schedule. So perfect scenario to wrap it back up for the Raptors, I think, is they get into the 8th seed for the final seeding, and in the playoff tournament they have that 7-8 matchup where hopefully they have Brooklyn and they beat Brooklyn and they put themselves into that part of the bracket where they're going through, you know, a Boston or a Philly as opposed to going through a Milwaukee. Either that, or at the very least, you know, in that 8th seed, in that scenario, you're still getting a second chance to make the playoffs when you go up against whoever the winner of the 9-10 game is. So yeah, that is definitely the most appealing route for the Raptors, should they, you know, dream of whatever they dream of in terms of playoff success this year. That has been me. That has been the conversation for the day. That's pretty much been it, yeah. What do you folks think? How do you see the rest of this season just kind of wrapping up and unwinding? Comment below, let me know your thoughts. I really do enjoy reading the comment section. Sometimes I wish they'd be a little more full, so, you know, drop anything you got into the comment section below. And yeah, just to reiterate the usual drill, I always do, if you're still watching this video, I think you like the video, so just hit that like button. It does me such a big favor, so thank you if you do it. And subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you like what you watched today. Other than that, folks, it's been JJ Buckets. It has been real, and I will see everybody next time.